Next, me.
To the second topic. New Switch. There is rumor.
Wait, there is?
There's been rumor kicking about as of late that maybe there might be a new Switch coming soon. I saw a couple people across the internet have been talking about this as well. So I am curious. Here's the first question. Do we need a new Switch? Let's just get the quick yes or no question. Jameson, do we need a new Switch? You have a Switch. All three of us have one. You got yours about 6 months ago. Do you think we need a new Switch now? 2 years into the market here.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Do you think we need a new one?
No.
No. I think it's appropriate amount of time for it. Do we need one? No, but I think it's an appropriate amount of time for it.
But I think that it should have some improvements.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, we're going to start here first. Why do you think that there should be a new Switch coming out this year?
Well, I'm just not a fan of the controller. Like, I just feel like they should be able to fix that a little bit. Like, I'm talking about, like, the Joy-Cons, because what I hate about it is that the joystick is so close to the buttons that it's like, okay, I'm just going to use this example. Playing Fortnite is almost impossible on the Switch.
Okay.
Because it's like, I can't remember what B does, but it is so hard to click B because the joystick's in the way. And it's irritating. They need to space out the buttons in the joystick.
Yeah. Now, I will say this because I know there's someone probably sitting on the other end. The reason why the Joy-Cons look the way they do is so that when you hand it to somebody, you have the same design as the other person. Now, I know this is a problem though because for people that play games, this is like on the controller predominantly. This is a problem for those people. Because it's not in the right spot. With PlayStation, they still do the DualShock way of where the joysticks are here. Xbox uses the offset controller system of where the joysticks are in different positions, and that's what we predominantly enjoy, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we like the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
So the design of the Joy-Cons was so that if we wanted to play like Mario Kart, I can hand Jameson a Joy-Con, and he can play Mario Kart, and he'd have the same controller as I did on my side. It would be flipped. Now, or no, they're the same side because you would be tilting it the same side. So, that's the reason why those are designed the way they are. There's even peripherals now that I've seen that I've almost been tempted on buying that put a spacer so that you actually have to like, because I don't know about you, but my hands get cramped on that thing. Like when you're holding it in undocked in handheld mode. Because apparently your right hand specifically, is not in the proper spot as what it would be on the other controllers. And so there's like a thing that actually you can attach to that side of the Switch, and it actually pushes your hand out a little bit so that you're holding it the correct way that you would normally hold a controller.
For a Joy-Con or for like the actual holding the
like
thing?
it'd be on the system when handheld mode.
Oh, mine has that. I would yeah.
What? It doesn't have
the whole thing. It's
like the framing, the casing of it is
attached with the framing,
and it pushes your hand out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So see, there are
it makes
already
it a lot
things,
more comfortable.
There are already things that are in play to fix that situation. So that I would totally agree. Of like the controller is just a little bit off, but I see where Nintendo was going with. You don't think we need one right now. Why do you think we don't need one?
I don't think so because, 2 years is not a very long life cycle for any piece of hardware that in the gaming industry. Like Xbox.
It's not a new system, though. Yeah. We're just getting a
I know.
S version of it. The Slim came out 2.5, 3 years later. So it's like, I don't know. But tell me why you think. Tell me why you think they don't need one.
So
no, hold on.
So right now, they don't need a new one because they're still selling them at the original price, $300, because it's Nintendo. B, there's nothing really too major that they need to improve on with the market that they're selling to. It's for me, like what I think that their market is, they're targeting console players to kind of move them over to play more of their handheld stuff, where most of their market is. So, I mean, to do that, I mean, they're only going to have to make some pretty minimal hardware improvements to make it that much better. Software wise, I mean, we're looking at something that can do 1080 60 frames, which is really good for anything that's handheld for one, because it's not, what they're doing with the amount of power supply that they do have is pretty great. It may not be 4K or anything like that, but it still performs pretty well. I got mine a few months ago, and I still feel it's up to standards, even though I primarily game on an Xbox One X or my PC. So both of those still, perform better, but you're getting the Switch because you want a hybrid. You want to be able to play on the go, but also have a big screen experience. So I don't really see the point of, sending out a new model really this early in the cycle.
I do agree with that because Nintendo is moving very quickly through consoles because they're a console ahead of Xbox and PlayStation, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in the next generation.
Yeah, so if they make another console, they'll be 2 generations ahead. So I feel like they're moving a little bit too quickly for their generations.
Well,
But
I don't feel that they need to be on any particular schedule per se.
yeah,
They don't need to,
but like
because it'd be bad marketing for them to launch it around the same time as when Xbox and PlayStation are doing their next gens, because not everybody's gonna have like $1,000 to drop on 2 new consoles. Because Nintendo's in its own little world. They don't really have to compete with anybody.
Okay, so I just want to throw this out there. The Nintendo Switch came out March 3rd, 2017. All right. The Xbox One X, this is as the example. I'm not going to go into the PlayStation thing because this was a pain in the ass to even look up for this information. But the Xbox One came out November 22nd, 2013. The Xbox One S came out, this article from IGN was written July 18th, 2016, and it states that the Xbox One S will be hitting shelves on August 2nd of that year. So I'm just going to go based on that article. That 2016 was when the Xbox One S came out. Makes kind of sense. The Xbox One X came out last year of 2018, yeah?
Yep.
So a couple of years kind of went by for that as well. So 3 years, and Xbox went on and moved to a new console. I don't think that it's a bad move for Nintendo to do something like that, just because I think the controller system is messed up. You were talking about how it's like visuals are not very bad. It's not bad on it, and but it is an interesting move that with what is in the hardware, being a technological advancement of what it is. Because I am, first off, it's crazy how everyone. I remember in elementary school, you were like, not you, but you in general, everyone would be like, oh man, it'd be so cool if I could go home, take my console, and then just come here and I could play with you guys. You could take it anywhere. Because I've been in situations just over the holidays where I went over to my grandparents' house and my cousin brought her Switch and she got Mario Kart for her Christmas. I had Mario Kart, and all I had to do was I just brought my Switch. I didn't have to connect it to the TV. She connected it to the TV because she wanted her brother to play. And all three of us were playing the Switch with 2 different consoles. Unheard of.
yeah, you and I did
4 or
the same thing
5
at
years
Grandma's
ago.
house.
Exactly. We did that as well, where we were just playing Mario Kart with each other.
No, we played Smash. Oh, okay. We did play Mario Kart, but then we played Smash.
Yeah. And so it's just it is crazy how it can do that. But in my mind, I'm thinking Nintendo's got to have something else on the back burner of what can we do to push this thing? Because I think at all times, all 3 of these companies have got to think someone's going to do something to probably advance this before we do. It just takes a matter of time. There's rumor about some other, the guys who made Project Cars are going to think about making a console. Yeah, that's a whole topic in its own self. We won't talk about it in this episode, but there you go. If you want it, comment section is open for you. But the thing is it just takes one person. Let's say they do it. Let's say they make the game a console where it's 1080p, 30 frames a second, native on your portable console at all times. Right off the bat, Nintendo lost because they don't got that. It's 970 or 9. It's weird dimension for handheld, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is for handheld.
Yeah. But it's like I don't. Again, like you're talking about, like the 4K thing. That's still
It may
far
be
in
like
advance. Like
it's 4K is becoming a standard, but it's not
yeah.
quite the standard yet.
Or you can be like Samsung, and you're just like 8K. That's a number we can use that. And it's like sure, we're not there at 4
yeah.
yet, but all right. But yeah, I think it's just. I think that Nintendo has got to be thinking about what can we do to make this thing better. I think the size is perfect of what it is. Like I don't want a smaller screen. I don't want it thinner because then I don't want to break the damn thing. And I think the Joy-Cons took some getting used to, but we've played with them by themselves and they're fine after a while. Like sure, when you take it for the first time, you're like, this is a thing. Like you're like, oh wow, it's so tiny. Because you get that every time where you're like, hey, play this with me. And they're like, how am I going to play it with this? And then after a while, you're used to it. So
what I also really don't like about the Switch is the stand in the back.
That kickstand,
I hate
that cheap. I will tell you, when I broke that off for the first time, I was like, and then it just went. I was like, oh, all right. There you go.
There
just
should
snaps
be two
back
of
on.
them. There should be two of
You
them.
can buy them separately.
No, I mean like on the back. There should be two of
okay.
them, not one. Because then it's like if you accidentally bunk a corner.
That's true.
It's so I don't like that there's only one of them. And then you can't charge it. Like if you're
That is a huge thing that pisses me off all the time. Why can I not charge the damn thing when I want to play it in tabletop mode? Like, and for those that don't have a Switch, the USB-C port for the Switch is how it charges, is at the bottom of the system. Why? I have no idea. Because in theory, when you want to put the kickstand out and you want to set it there and you need to charge it to a wall, you can't do that. You got to like prop it up. He was trying to do that the other day and you had to like prop it on like a hat or something.
DIY freaking
what would
stand.
you recommend? Because I mean,
On the top,
has to,
on
it
the
has
damn
to,
top
it
of
has
it.
to dock it though.
My PS Vita figured it out. Why? Like they put it on the damn top of it, and it's like, yes, put it on top. That's what happened.
Or they could have one on the top and bottom for docking and charging.
Oh, that's right. You just said docking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could do that too if you wanted to, or you just take the thing.
It's either that or you put it on the. It's either that or you put it on the side and have the.
No, you can't do
kind
that
of
because
have
you have the
like
Joy-Cons.
No. Fuck.
Yeah, so like, I understand. Like, okay, maybe when you break it down like that, you're like, where do you put the damn thing? But it's like, God, why is it like that? Like, why at the bottom of the thing? Because
Or on the back of it.
Well, I bet they're not expecting you to play.
put it on the back, but
for-
you'd have
for
to
hours.
design the dock differently if you're gonna put it on the back.
Well, that could be easier to design than the Switch.
That wouldn't be that difficult.
You can't do the little like
No, you
folder thing
you
they got going on.
push it in instead of setting.
Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah.
take the front off of it, which
Yeah, that's
for
not-
some people would be fine because they
Yeah,
had
that's
all
not
those
even a big
scratched
deal.
up switches after
Yeah.
the first launch thing. I don't know. I don't think it's too far out of the question for the Switch to be thought of coming out with another one, like a Switch S sort of thing.
Is it a Switch S or is it more like
I don't know. I'm just calling it
new
that.
gen?
Yeah. No, not new gen. It is not a new gen.
Okay.
I would, of what we've heard, there's rumor that it's just it's just a Switch S or a 0.5, a Switch 0.5. Like this isn't a 2. This is just the beginning half mark, like how the Xbox has it. PlayStation's done it. Like even with the new PlayStation Pros and the current PlayStation Slims, like PlayStation 4 Slims, those are designed differently, and they came out only 3 years after those consoles came out. And now we're talking about those consoles even going off and ending. And it's only been like 5 years for those things.
That's what I think the Switch should do. Like, what Nintendo should do, just make like another version of it. That's what I think they should do.
Yeah, like a 0.5 version.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying start over. And believe me, like I've said, and I hope it doesn't come off as we don't like our Switches. Like we do. I mean, I'm speaking for you guys. I don't
No,
know.
I like
I
my
like
Switch.
it.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, I think that what I'm coming from is there's just little things, the little things that as a Switch owner that kind of are annoying, and it's like, why is this not working? I think first off, fix those damn Joy-Cons too. I was having so much trouble when we were doing during the holidays when I was playing with my cousin. If we sat back more than like, God, I don't know, 20 feet, it disconnect. It wouldn't. It would have the most horrible time in trying to connect to that thing. It would be on the other end of the room, because like from here. So for you guys, I don't know how I would describe it. I'm just going to describe it to you and see if you can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's this times 2. This distance from us to the camera.
Oh, okay.
It'll
so
disconnect from that.
It's about 30 feet.
Yeah. So it would work. It would just it would play a little bit, but every so often it would like lose a signal for like half a second, and then like fix itself really quickly. So fix that maybe. I don't know.
So the
Stronger-
range of the
stronger
controller.
Yeah, the range of the controller.
Ooh.
Well, Xbox is kind of the same. Like once you get
Not
they
that far. The Xbox One controllers can go up to like 50 feet.
No, they can't go that far. They can't go that far.
I've tried those in the sanctuary during the.
I'll be in
house.
my room and I'll go to the staircase and it'll disconnect.
Well, that's because you're going through walls.
you're going through walls.
So,
at that
Oh,
point.
that's true.
one thing I will say about connectivity issues and things like that is, why are we unable to use Bluetooth devices with the Switch? Like,
Yeah.
why is that such a hard thing to do? What if we have most people nowadays don't have an auxiliary cord?
Especially Apple users.
Yeah.
You've
So-
learned to not have that anymore. So now I have to carry 2 headphones with me at all
Yeah.
times now, because if I have my Switch, I have to have like my 3.5 jack one and then my Beats.
Yeah,
like
so
I
it's-
got 2 different headphones. going.
What's the point of that? So they only allow controllers that are, licensed wireless. Like they have the GameCube controller. It's like $50 wireless, and that can do it just fine. But they don't allow for any third party anything, including headphones, headsets, etc. I had
Yeah,
this
the
issue.
official licensed.
Yeah, I had this issue because I have Turtle Beaches that also do Bluetooth. And what I ended up having to do if I want to use those is I can hook the power source into the Switch for my transmitter, for my headset.
Mm-hmm.
And then luckily, weirdly, my 4K TV has an optical audio port.
Oh
and
yeah,
I just
yeah.
shoved it in there and I was able to hear it.
Yeah, no, with my Astros, I have to plug it 3.5 to 3.5 into the my TV or my monitor or whatever I'm using, and then it runs HDMI audio through the TV, and then it goes through. Yeah, it's
just-
a whole conniption
There's
of it.
a lot of hoops you got to jump
Yeah.
through when you have a Switch. I mean, that's par for the course for Nintendo. They can't seem to learn how to, get past that. It's kind of like the same thing with Sony, how they also have issues connecting certain devices via Bluetooth as well.
Yeah.
Their selection is very limited when it comes to Bluetooth. So that's
Yeah,
a big issue for me.
I don't know. And also, my thing is like, I only can see that this decision for them to make another console can only so to argue your point, because this kind of ties into what I was about to just say, but to argue your point about how it's $399 or whatever. How much is it? $299.
Yeah, $299.
$299, and they haven't dropped the price. PlayStation didn't do that either. They were like, "Hey, you're still buying our console. You'll probably buy this one too. So there you go. Here's the Slim," and they just did it overnight. So it's like it's not unheard of for them to just go, "We're still winning. Here's the new console. Buy this one now," and everyone's gonna buy that one now. So, and then with Microsoft, I don't think the price of it has to is a factor of the situation, because Microsoft came out with a new version of it at $500. Like, we bought a console for $500, and I never thought I would do that without it coming with a stupid camera that matches my moves, and I'm playing with an animal on TV.
Oh,
So it's like there just doesn't mean like I just don't know how it could affect Nintendo negatively.
No, I don't
Because
think
they
it
could
will.
just easily come out with a more powerful console, and I'm not saying do the. I just want 1080 natively on the console when I plug it in, and it does that with the first party games. Doesn't do that with the third party games. It does that 970 bullshit stuff or whatever, the 900p, and then in some games it does 720p, and then in handheld mode, sometimes games just look like mud. So it's like I don't know what
Yeah, I
I
noticed
don't
the
know what
difference
happens
there.
with that.
I noticed the
Yeah.
difference there, and it's definitely because it's probably not getting enough power to the GPU.
Yeah, I mean, and, it's portable, and it's factors that are trying to. It's the first of its kind to do what it's doing. But my thing is like, you've had 2 years to fix it. You had 2 years to think about it. You heard all the complaints from everybody. You know what to do. You just know what to do.
So here's one thing I would ask both of you guys,
I'll let
and
you
those
go
of you at
first.
home, comments. What do you want? If this new Switch is to be, what do you think they should have in terms of improvements besides the Joy Cons?
A better place to have the charger and a better
Right.
kickstand.
That's it. What about internally?
Internally, I think it's gorgeous. I think it's fine internally. It's just the external things that they need to fix.
Yeah, I mean, you also play primarily first-party games too on that.
Yeah.
So what would? Here's a question to both of you. Here, okay, I'll answer your question first. Because I've kind of said it already, but to reiterate, it's like, I want higher resolution screen. Just I know they can do it now. We have the technology. If Apple can put OLED and LED screens in both two phones, and now they're their primary phones, and I can see them bend LEDs on this thing. Like, it's crazy. I think it's possible. Nintendo can do it. Charge port definitely pisses me off. I have to buy like a $20 piece of plastic so I can set my damn thing on there so I can run it through the bottom of it. And yeah, I just want to see games look better on it.
Okay.
That's my primary. I want a reason to buy it, like a game for it.
Gotcha. Well, the things that I want to see most of all, for it to be an improvement, like a true upgrade, it doesn't have to be next gen. It doesn't have to be 4K.
No, I don't care.
Screw
about
that. That can wait till next gen. I don't care about 4K on a handheld at this point. What I would like them to figure out is how to get a more efficient power supply for handheld mode. Because
Oh yeah, that damn thing dies a lot.
Yeah.
it dies, but also it also waters down the picture, the quality of the gameplay.
Side note on your battery thing. Why can't I use anything to charge it? I gotta buy a specific thing that has specific, like, I have to go down a statistic sheet in order to play this thing. Like, my battery can't charge it, but it charges everything else for like days on end. But my Switch, it just doesn't do it. Like, oh well, it needs 15 volts to like charge it. It's like, okay, but why did you make it like that so it can run like on a console as a? I don't know. I don't know the technological reasons of why it has to be that way, but it's just like, man, can't charge it on it, and some cables don't work with it. You can't just go to Target and buy the little like $5 piece of crap cable.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
have to buy the specific one that outputs at the certain
Well,
voltage and
keep
this
in
and
mind,
that.
though, it is a console.
No,
It's like,
I know
you
that.
can't charge. You can't hook up your Xbox One with a phone charger. Like,
But-
you have to have.
My thing is though is
Like-
if going on your also connecting it to that, going on why does it water it down? It's obviously watering it down.
Yeah.
So it's not running at 100 like a console connectivity. It's running on a handheld situation.
Yeah.
So I'm already not getting when you're playing Mario Kart, it's not running 1080p on that small screen. So it's like, why is it not working?
For those of you who are stopping by the streams, I've been playing a little bit of Breath of the Wild. Now, when I'm doing that, I'm playing in console mode, so I'm getting the 1080 60. Looks great. When I go to handheld, it is a very, very noticeable difference. Even though it's first party, it is a very noticeable difference. I'd be surprised if it is at 720 at that point, because to me, it shows that it gets real watered down. And then I haven't had any frame rate issues, so I feel like the priority for the picture is more towards the performance and less about the resolution.
Definitely. I see
So it's, for me, I just want a very consistent experience. I don't want my game to look like it's, from the early 2000s when it's in handheld, comparatively speaking. I mean, obviously it does, still looks better than most games made in the early 2000s. But to me, that's what it feels like. I'm back, like I'm going backwards. You know, if you're getting they keep putting out these very visually appealing titles, very beautiful games, but with the Switch in handheld mode, I don't feel most of the games are going to be doing their justice in that form. That's just my opinion. Things that are graphic heavy, like Zelda, Mario, you may or may not be able to get away with. But with all the moving parts going on, and like a game like Zelda with such an open world, so much happening on the screen at once, like the moving grass, wind, sparkles in the air, all that shit, you need to have a consistent experience. No one's going to play it unless it's consistent. They're just not going to do it handheld for certain games.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is, because you guys primarily buy your games for Xbox,
Yes.
what would make it so that you would buy the next Wolfenstein, the next, like, I'm only using like Bethesda theming because they are the third party that's doing that. The next Doom, the next Elder Scrolls on a Switch.
Okay.
What would make you want to buy that?
So, two things primarily. A, give it more power. Let it be able to do all the things that it can do while it's docked. I feel like if you're going to have a hybrid console, it should be, if not entirely, pretty consistent with the docked version. So you should be able to play it just as smoothly as you would docked. B, you shouldn't have to go out and buy accessories to put grips to make it bigger. So here's the thing.
Remember, it is a Japanese console.
Yeah,
Well,
but, but hear me out. Hear me
It
out. Hear
came
me out.
with mine. I didn't buy it
Hear,
separately.
hear me out.
No,
though.
you did buy it separately. You bought a case that had the thing in there.
Well,
So
yeah.
that you did buy it separately.
Hear me out on this though. So you also got to look at the market that they're selling to. They're selling to two different markets, handheld and console.
Yeah.
All right? Let's keep that in mind. When I hold it in handheld, mine doesn't have a case. Mine doesn't have any skins.
Neither does mine.
I actually got something for Christmas that for my sister. That is a almost. It's hard to explain what it is. It's basically a grip. You snap it on to your Switch, and it provides you handles like
Yeah, it's
like
kind
a
of like what he
controller.
has.
That's
Yeah.
like mine.
They're not perfect. They're not. I wouldn't buy it with my own money,
Mhm.
but I feel like there should be some sort of. I don't feel like it needs to be flush like how it is the Joy Cons. I feel like there should be. If you remember the nunchucks from the Wii,
Yeah.
those were able to actually kind of contour to how your hand's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with the Nintendo 64 controller.
Yeah. So I feel like they should implement some sort of handle for you to hold onto when you're playing in, handheld mode.
Mhm.
Other than you having to like hold it all weird, it doesn't feel natural when you're holding
Oh
it.
no, because after a
It's-
while you're just like,
Now,
like
the
trying to
Joy
figure
Cons
it
by
out.
themselves, if you're just holding that and you're playing like Let's Go, Pokemon, Eevee, Pikachu, whatever, you're just holding it, while it's docked because you're only able to use like the wand and the Joy-Con. The Joy-Cons themselves actually feel decent in your hand. Sticks, separate thing, but they actually feel good in your hand. They need to make it to where if you're playing in handheld mode, it feels natural to hold. Because right now it does not, from
Yeah.
a console standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate, I totally agree with you. But it's like, then you can't use it on the accessories. You can't put in the dog controller. I'd call the controller that they gave you in the box, I call that the dog controller because it looks like a little dog face.
Yeah.
But like, you wouldn't be able to slide it in if it was like a little bit bulkier for you to hold
Wait,
it.
why? Into the dock?
No. In the dog controller. How would you explain that?
Dog
What
controller.
do you mean?
That controller, that plastic piece of garbage controller they give you to slide the Joy-Cons in.
Yeah,
Oh,
what about
that.
it?
Well, they just remake that. If they're
Yeah,
gonna
you'd
go
have
with the new.
Totally design the whole.
I
Yeah,
think they should make
make
that a little
that.
bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the design of it is to make it so that it feels like
Yeah.
a controller
Yeah, but it's
with
I
the
don't know.
garbage that you
I feel
got.
like it's just
so-
a little bit too small.
Yeah. What about you, Jameson? What is it that Nintendo would do for you to play like Warframe on there or Fortnite on there? Or
Well,
I'm
dude,
picking the
I'd
games that
play
you would
Fortnite
pick.
on there.
So, like, what would
I
if
don't know,
Call of
just
Duty
make
came
the-
out, if Destiny 3 was announced that it's coming to Switch, what would make you want to buy it on the Switch more
Well,
than comparing it? If
boy.
but because in the mind right now, it would be watered down, right? So what would you feel as if to pull you over, of like, oh, this is Switch. Switch has got something going on over here.
Well, first of all, they would need to change the controllers because I'm not gonna play.
The Joy-Cons,
A,
specific.
yeah.
Well, because there's the Pro Controller,
Yeah.
the
I'm not
GameCube
gonna,
thing.
I'm not gonna play a game like competitively with a controller Joy-Con that I can't even handle.
Yeah. Okay.
And
All right.
make the graphics look better, make it run smoother.
Ooh, there's another.
So what is it about the graphics that make you not
I
like
don't
it?
know. I feel like it's just a little too choppy, too mushy. I feel like they can make it pop out a lot better than it already does.
Okay.
Can I add one thing?
Go
They
ahead.
need to add
No.
Ethernet port.
Yeah, you have to buy a USB to Ethernet that they don't even give you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cheap. You know, you can just get a USB.
Yeah, but it's
3.0
like
converter,
it's just
but
another thing.
Yeah, it's
Nothing that you
something
gotta
that they should have with
Internal
all
memory too.
the, Yes.
Put some damn internal memory in there. Why I gotta go about? And first off, quit lying to people, Nintendo. I don't gotta go spend $70 for a 64 gigabytes SD card. I literally this is what happened. I was at Target. I saw the stupid Link one that had like Link on there and it says Breath of the Wild and a Nintendo licensing and it's like 64 gigabytes, $70, and you're like. And then I walked around the
64
corner.
gigs.
I walked around the corner and saw in the section of where all the smartphone accessories were at, and I saw a 64 gigabyte for like $25, and I was like, I'm buying this. Worst comes to worst, I just use it on something else. Took it, threw it in the Switch. It works perfectly fine. There's no thing that I had to do. I just plugged it in and it worked. I use it all the time. I save all my stuff on there. My internal memory is not even used right now. That's some bullshit. I don't understand why Nintendo's lying to people about it or advertising it that way of like, this is the authentic version. And they're SanDisk. They're both
Yeah, they
SanDisk.
are.
They are both SanDisk memory cards. I don't know why they don't. The only thing you're buying is the fact that it says Nintendo Switch on it. And the other thing is, Anchor is doing this now too. You can buy like, I'm going to bullshit some numbers out here, but this is pretty much exactly what they're doing. The idea is exactly true. It's happening. There is a external battery you can use to charge your Switch right now. It doesn't say like it doesn't say Nintendo Switch on it. It just works. Anchor makes it. It's like $69.99. There's a Switch version because Anchor got the official seal from Nintendo. That's $79.99. You're paying $10 for exactly the same battery for just a logo that says Switch on it. I'm not a fan with Nintendo's idea of this. That's not even involving the Switch, but it's the thing that around it that pisses me off because I'm like, you're telling like the moms, the dads, and the grandpas and grandmas that walk in there that all their kid told them was this was the problem that Fortnite had too. Is like your kid says, I want Fortnite. What are they gonna do? They're gonna go to the store and buy Fortnite. Like what was the full game called? Fortnite. It was just called Fortnite. The one that had like the story mode in it.
Oh, Save the World.
Save the World. They're gonna buy the actual game. They're not gonna buy like the Microsoft points to like get them the V-Bucks or whatever. Yeah. And so this is just one of those situations where their kid's just gonna say, I need an SD card for my Switch. They're gonna go, I'm not buying you that. That's $80. I'm not gonna buy you this stupid thing. I just don't like the idea that Nintendo's doing something
It's a little
shady like
shady.
that.
It's a little shady.
A little shady. That's really shady.
I don't know. I feel like we've talked about any rounding up
Nope.
ideas. No?
I'm done.
No? There you go. There's our rant on the Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Nintendo needs to make another Switch? Or do you feel fine with your current one? Comment section is open for you. We're moving on.